news last week where the Premier League is finally starting up again, June the 17th. I know Chidi's really excited because Liverpool can actually finish their season. So go on, give us your take, Chidi, because I know you want to say something. Huh?
What are you giving us?
Oh, we wanted to gift you it.
Okay, no, just don't slip, mate.
Yeah. It would be the worst loss ever, like the worst, slip up ever.
Well, I would say, so basically, I thought, my whole argument has always been it would be better to finish the season, TV money, places. Obviously, I don't want it to be voided, which they said they weren't going to do. As some talk progressed about, if it ends now and they do what they did in France, where they would give us, where they would do points per places or points per games or whatever. And if they did that in the Premier League, I was actually happy with that. I only then wasn't happy with that because you guys kept on saying, we'll give you the title. And I didn't like that kind of talk. So then I was very adamant that the season must finish. And then to make it worse, I saw what was going on in Germany. Now, we talked before off camera about government, UK government and German government. We all know Germany's efficient and the UK government's not. But in terms of the Premier League, if the Bundesliga can restart, the Premier League can restart. And I've been saying that for a while. And this is vindication, though. There's been a lot of talk in the paper, and I don't want to slate this person because, I actually do like him as a footballer. But obviously, there's two main people right now. One of them always complains, that's Danny Rose. The second one is Troy Deeney. He's vocal as being, it's not fair. And he's got a lot of stick. And he was talking about people said Kobe's baby gets corona. Things like that. That's not right to say. But at the end of the day, we are going back to work. Everybody is going back to work. That is the government's frame. Footballers are getting tested 2-3 times a day. They've got the best medical professions. Why should they not go back to work and finish the season? And that's what's happening. So why not? I've never seen a problem with it, and it's happening. So Liverpool win 2 games. It's already tainted, so it's not like I'm excited. We might even win the league at a neutral venue. So it's not like, it's not tainted. It's always.
Are they all traveling?
Who?
Are they all traveling across? Are they still going to each other's stadiums without fans, or are they doing it all in one location?
Well, the problem is the actual date of the 17th of June is penciled in, subject to government approval. So I think there's still some things they're trying to work around. But the main thing...
We've sort of seen the schedule. Sort of seen the schedule as in, they've got quite a few games sort of...
No, but are the players still travelling across to, different cities and stuff?
I think that's all part of the logistics. So I think they're going to try and keep certain teams in certain areas to make it easier. So that will make testing easier. Because obviously if you're travelling all about the places, it seems to be contradictory to what you hope, It makes more sense to have a couple of neutral venues, have teams sort of parked up there, and then you're going to play game after game eventually. So
because NBA doing it in a little bubble, like in Orlando, they're all going to be living there, and then they just play their games in one area, one venue.
I don't think they're not doing it to that extent because they were going to do it. They were saying they were going to do it at where England trained, George's Park. They're not doing that anymore. Right. There will be games at Anfield and Old Trafford. But certain key games, so they've announced that there's certain games they're looking at. I think one of them is Man City, Liverpool, potentially a game. Other games like that potentially might be at neutral venues.
Right. Oh, what about did you hear about the FA Cups restarting? I think they said, right? The FA Cup could be restarted.
I don't even know because we're not in the FA Cup, so I've kind of given up.
No, but do you think that should be scrapped? At least the other domestic cups.
The issue with that one is, and I don't know, Suraj can tell me more. What obviously for me personally, I've been more focused on just starting the league and winning the next 2 games because obviously we're not in the FA Cup and we're not in the Champions League. Just the same with the FA Cup and the same with the Champions League is that. When are these fixtures going to get played? Because obviously the priority right now, and for me anyway, I don't care about them.
It's going to be played, during the point, where the Premier League games are getting played.
Yeah, but
That's what
they're
I'm
meant,
saying.
they're meant to be doing potentially two Premier League games a week. So I don't know how they're gonna. For me personally, because obviously Liverpool are not in it, I don't really care if they scrap it. They scrap it. Potentially, it'll be a good thing. But if they don't scrap it and they say, "Oh well, we're gonna play," okay, then the players might have a point because if they start playing 3 games a week, it might be a bit too much. With the Champions League, I know they're saying they're gonna do it in August,
Right.
so that's just potentially affecting when the next season starts. Things like the FA Cup, potentially, it's all about money, really, though, isn't it? But potentially,
I was gonna say it really boils down to one point, and that's money. Like, is it worth enough money for them to disregard like the other factors? I mean, let's be honest, we're doing the same thing with the Premier League. So I understand your point of like everyone, let's go back to work, but we're only going back to work because obviously the economy sort of like shutting down a bit, and we're all losing money in that sense. But in terms of versus life, so you've seen with the French league, for example, they've sort of ended the season, done their positions, and awarded the positions there. In the Dutch league, they obviously just ended it void and scrapped the whole league off. I'm not sure if they announced the winners or not for that particular league, but that clearly shows me that those two leagues versus the German league and now the Premier League is going to be boils down to not just the moral stance, but more the money stance. So I think if those leagues stood to make more money, like ours do and Germany does, then the question's not really posed so much. It's more just simply like logistics. How do we do it? Whereas with the FA Cup, I think once again, you're going to look at it from a money perspective. Let's be brutally honest here. Money's talking. So it's in terms of the leagues that are going to go forward, or the leagues, not from a moral stance, really none of them should go ahead, really. And from a moral stance, none of us should really be going to work in the time frame that they're given, considering what's going on as well. It's more like guidelines, and they realise that, okay, it's come to a conjunction whereby money really talks at this point in time, and it makes more sense to make money now. So we've gone past we've sort of gotten over it, if that makes sense, over what's happening and what's happened. So we're kind of moving on from it. But I don't think it's really fair. So I think, like, if you're going to do the Premier League, then really what's your major complaint against it? And if you're saying it's extra games, like, I don't think that's as good an argument, considering that you're playing games anyway.
Well, it depends if they're traveling. I think if they're
no, but then if it was worth the right amount of money, then they would make it happen. They would logistically like they do.
Is the FA Cup worth it though? That's the thing.
That's what it's going to boil down to, and I just think that's a shame, because now we're just basically doing monetary value versus sort of almost like prestige. It's like it doesn't matter. It's not prestigious because it doesn't make us.
Well,
money.
It's prestigious for the lower teams because obviously if they win it, then they get a chance to
make some money.
Yeah, but then even we don't know the schedule, because remember, like, going before this happened, there was already a debate around the FA Cup because a lot of the big teams were playing. It was turning into the League Cup, where a lot of the big teams were now starting to play their second players. Now, I don't know who's left in the FA Cup from a lower league, but then obviously I don't actually 100% know.
It's still trophy. It's still trophy for the big teams, for us and for your cities and stuff. Anyone who wants to dominate, or anyone who wants another option it is silverware. It's our most prestigious.
Yeah, but when it's silverware when it gets to the end, but when it's at the start, you don't, like, for example, I don't know what round we're in.
The FA Cup. No,
yeah, but what I'm saying, who are Man U? Are Man U still in it? Who are you playing next?
I can't remember. It's been such a long time. I can't
remember. That's what I mean. So unless it's somebody like you, if it's not a top team, you potentially could play your second team.
Yeah, but then that's not fair on the club that would have made money from the. That's what I'm saying. So it's like we're taking a really elitist view at this. It's like, okay, Liverpool deserve the Prem or whatever, so let's make the Prem happen. But whoever the lower league team is in the FA Cup currently, they don't deserve it because it's not worth money to anyone. It's like we're being picky.
Yeah, but my argument to that would be, for the lower league team is that I know League 2 is cancelled, and I'm not sure what's going on with the Championship and League 1. But if their leagues are cancelled, what they're just going to be training for one match every 3 weeks?
I think they should be given.
Yeah, but how can they train? They're going to train if you got a lower league team in there and they're not playing football. How can they? It's not fair on them anyway, because how are they going to train?
We could invite.
They can still train. They just can't. They're just not playing in that specific league.
So
Mate, you're literally taking away their chance of getting into Europe.
Yeah. So you're saying match fit versus their chance at playing at Wembley one day. That's. I don't think that equates up. That's not.
No. What I'm saying is, as a Liverpool fan, we're not in the FA Cup, so for me, I'm not really too concerned. If you can if football's coming back, everything.
Okay,
should come
let's
back.
do this. Let's do this. What happens if he was in the FA Cup? Let's do
No,
that.
I just said that. I just said, yeah. I'm saying if football can come back, everything should come back. But what I'm saying is, if it gets to the point, yeah, where I think players will have an argument, is that if you're now saying we're doing the Premier League, that's priority. We're going to do 2 games a week. Now you have to start prioritizing. Can they do 3 games a week with the FA Cup? That's an argument for them. I personally,
they're not going to do a weekly thing, man.
First of all, not all the teams are involved. A lot of the teams are knocked out in the Premier League already. So I think you're almost comparing it like a league and league. It's probably about how many games you reckon, Rishi, do we have to complete for the FA Cup for it to be resolved?
I don't know, about 6, 5.
I can't remember where we're at.
It should go ahead.
5 happened, right? So
we're past.
We're past 4 rounds. We're into
Liverpool got knocked out in the 5th round against Chelsea, so we're probably at the quarters.
So how many teams are involved? So you've only got a certain amount.
Yeah, but I'm saying it should go ahead. What I'm trying to say is that if Man U are still in it and they say, well, this is not fair, that's up to Man U. Then you lot have to make that decision.
No, but that's fine.
No. It won't be a one club decision. We don't get to say on whether the FA.
No, but as in you'll make this decision with everybody else who's still in it. Do you get? And if everybody else is still in it, like say for example, it's all Premier League teams, and everybody says, this is just long. We don't want to do it. Then don't do it.
If you want to do a club perspective, I want Europa to go on, but then that becomes a logistical nightmare because apparently everyone coming into UK via air travel has to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. So I'm not even sure how logistically it works, but I would like Europa because I think that's another shot at us going into the Champions League and looking at the other teams in that league. I'd fancy us to be getting potentially to the final. So we stand to win cups. We stand to be in Champions League battle for 4th. Like we've got a lot of things riding as well, and I think a lot of the emphasis has gone purely onto the title winners or the champions elect. But I think there's loads of us in. It looks
like for the FA Cup. I'm looking at the fixture. So it looks like to say they've penciled it in for the 27th of 6th. You've got all the Premier League clubs left. You've got Newcastle, Man City, Leicester, Chelsea, Sheffield United, Arsenal, Norwich, and Man U. That's all Premier League clubs. So if they can figure it out between themselves, where they can have these matches without conflict.
Yeah, but they could just drag the dedeadline on a bit and then just.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so they might as well.
No, but they will. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, but you're talking about League 2. We were talking about.
They're not in it. They're not in it though.
Okay,
so
but that's fine. That's even
it's redundant for them, so it doesn't matter now.
Yeah,
they might as well continue. I was saying if they were in it, I didn't know who was in it. Then it would be a bit unfair on them. But they would even if they were in it and their leagues were cancelled, they would still say let's go ahead because they never know what could happen. But
it's an opportunity for them. It's still an opportunity, and it's more revenue. It is more revenue to get the chance.
I think obviously they can do it in a way that I'm saying that the argument is for a player argument is fixture. There's going to be fixture pile up. So I understand that argument, and I think if they can sensibly, for example, what they're doing, they've already said Champions League is not going to be played till August. That's fine. Because imagine you had to play Champions League now and football. It would be very impossible to do that. But they've already said...
we might have a chance with Europa in that case.
Because it's going to be in August. They've pushed it back already. They're saying it's not going to be played till at least August.
Have they said anything about next season in that case, like in terms of when they...
Well, that's what I mean. They haven't said...
They potentially could drag it on. That's what I'm saying. They like...
Right now, it's just like, let's finish this season.
We may as well.
We might start this season. And
we may as well finish this season.
Germany, everything's going well. But you don't know if,
let's just hope that whatever they've done on their side, that we can employ exactly. Because you know that they do it better. So it's almost like I don't want us to cut corners, like in terms of testing or anything like that, and then it backfires on us because we're just not capable.
Exactly. Right now, it's just a case of let's just try and see if we can finish the season before the end of summer.
No, but I think this whole fixtures pile up thing that you're talking about, the whole point that the reason why people generally have the fixtures like separated by a week or sometimes by 3-4 days is traveling. The thing is, if they suddenly sort out the traveling point and then get teams closer to play, in a same venue, sort of like, or 2 venues within a certain city, right? Then the whole thing changes. You can actually squeeze games in.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
Even like pre-season, when you've got like they did the little tournaments and you've got like 6-team tournaments and you play like day after day after. Sometimes there's only 12 hours, 24 hours between your games, or whatever it is. So really and truly, they can do it. It's just, I guess we're talking about a really competitive state of football, and it may be a bit difficult. But I agree. I think it's totally doable. Yeah,
No, but this
if
is
they are
pre-season.
closer, the recovery time for resting, and there's no jet lag and stuff like that does help in terms of recovery and stuff. So I guess, and if they're all on board, which I imagine they all are anyway at this stage, because everyone wants to complete it now. So it's like the longer we go on about it, and the longer this is just going to drag on. So it's like let's complete this season.
Yeah, let's see. Like I said, it's not June 17th is the scheduled start. One thing I'd note as well, which it's funny how things work. Then this is just to note for everyone that they've announced that all 92 games left will be shown on some form of TV. Sky are actually going to make some matches free. I think the first match was Liverpool and Everton. That will be free. BBC for the first time ever. See, it takes a pandemic now. When a pandemic comes, now for the first time ever in history, imagine now. This is, but seriously, you pay your taxes, you pay TV license, and now for the first time ever in history, the BBC are going to show live Premier League games. So they could have done that before, but okay, cool. I think YouTube have picked up some games as well. So. And then obviously, I'm not sure if BT are going to show their matches free, but potentially they might. And then Amazon have got some matches, and Amazon. Well, I won't share the trick, but there is a trick where you can. Well, there's not even a trick. You can sign up for Prime for 1 month and get.
We need to beep that out, mate.
I mean, you can sign up for Prime for 1 month, cancel after a month. So there's football there for people. It's one good thing is in the sense that there'll be football that can watch for free, where before obviously we know it wasn't like that.